The breach. The message arrived at 3:17 hours Earth Standard Time. Commander Elena Reyes was pulled from sleep by the insistent buzz of her neural implant. There was no gradual transition to wakefulness. Military-grade augments didn't allow for such luxuries. One moment she was deep in the void of unconsciousness. The next she was fully alert, her mind instantly processing the priority code flashing across her visual field. Omega Black. In 15 years of service to the United Earth Defense Force, she had never seen an Omega Black. It was theoretical, a classification reserved for extinction-level threats. Authorization Raise 7 Delta Niner. She spoke into the darkness of her quarters. Accept transmission. Her visual field filled with static before resolving into the face of a woman. Blood streaked down one side of her face, and her eyes carried the unmistakable 1,000-yard stare of someone who had witnessed horrors beyond comprehension. "This is Director Maya Takahashi of New Horizon Colony," the woman said, her voice unnaturally steadied despite the chaos visible behind her. "We are under attack by an unknown alien force. Our defenses have been—" She paused as an explosion rocked her location. "Overwhelmed. They're not here to negotiate or claim territory. They're systematically slaughtering everyone." Elena sat up, already reaching for her uniform. "Director Takahashi, this is Commander Reyes. I need details on the attackers. Numbers, capabilities, weaknesses." "They move too fast for our tracking systems," Takahashi replied. "Conventional weapons barely slow them down. I'm transmitting all sensor data now." The image split, showing thermal and motion scans alongside the video feed. Elena's blood ran cold. The aliens appeared as vaguely humanoid blurs, moving with impossible speed. A squad of colonial marines fired at one of the creatures, their bullets seeming to have minimal effect before the thing closed the distance, and Elena forced herself to keep watching as the marines were torn apart. "They're not stopping at New Horizon," Takahashi continued. "We've intercepted communications suggesting they're planning to strike deeper into human space. Earth must know." A shadow fell across Takahashi's face. She looked up, her composure finally breaking. "God help us all," she whispered. The feed cut to static. Within 30 minutes, Elena stood before the Emergency Response Council, the highest military authority in times of crisis. The chamber was austere, designed for function rather than comfort, much like Elena herself. "The footage is genuine," confirmed General Dmitry Volkov, head of intelligence, after they reviewed Takahashi's transmission. "New Horizon has gone dark. All 20,000 colonists presumed lost. And they're just the beginning," Elena added. "If these hostiles reach the inner colonies, we could be looking at casualties in the millions." Defense Secretary Lian Wei leaned forward. "What options do we have, Commander?" "Conventional forces would be slaughtered," Elena replied bluntly. "You saw the footage. Regular troops, even with our best tech, don't stand a chance." The room fell silent until Elena spoke the words she knew would spark controversy. "We need to implement the Aegis Protocol." The reaction was immediate. Several council members rose in protest. "Those people were contained for a reason," Wei argued. "They're unpredictable, dangerous. More dangerous than what we just witnessed," Elena countered, pointing to the frozen image of the alien tearing through armed Marines. "The Aegis Protocol was created for precisely this scenario, a threat beyond conventional response." "They're abominations," muttered Admiral Harrison. "They're soldiers," Elena corrected sharply. "The most lethal warriors humanity ever produced. Yes, they were deemed too dangerous for peacetime society, but we're not at peace anymore." The debate raged for hours. Elena understood their hesitation. The Aegis Protocol subjects were the result of the most extreme human enhancement program ever attempted. The survivors possessed capabilities that blurred the line between human and something else entirely, along with psychological profiles that had ultimately led to their containment. But as dawn broke, the Council received word of another colony under attack. The decision came swiftly after that. "Commander Reyes," said Admiral Takeda, the council head, "you have full authority to implement the Aegis Protocol. All resources at your disposal. God help us all." The facility designated Tartarus lay hidden beneath the South Pacific, its existence scrubbed from official records years ago. Belena's shuttle descended through layers of security measures, finally docking at the underwater base. Director Samira Kazemi met her at the airlock, lips pressed into a thin line. 15 years I've kept them under, Commander. 15 years of peace. That peace is over, Director. Kazemi led her through sterile white corridors to a circular chamber. 5 cryopods stood arranged like the points of a star, each containing a floating figure. 3 men and 2 women, eyes closed as if in peaceful sleep. "You've read their files?" Kazemi asked. Belena nodded. She had memorized every detail during the journey. "Begin revival sequence." Kazemi hesitated, then spoke to her technicians. "Initiate synchronized revival. All subjects." The pods hissed, releasing clouds of vapor as the fluid inside drained away. 5 pairs of eyes snapped open simultaneously, unnervingly alert, showing no confusion or disorientation. They were combat-ready from the first moment of consciousness. The central pod opened first. The man inside stepped out, his muscular body covered in a network of scars and the distinctive nodal patterns of advanced biomods. His eyes, unnaturally bright green, fixed on Elena with predatory focus. "Commander," he said, voice rough from years of disuse. "This must be serious if you're waking all of us." "Captain Marcus Vega," Elena acknowledged. "Humanity faces extinction." Vega nodded once, showing neither surprise nor concern. "The others?" The remaining pods opened in sequence. A woman with midnight black skin emerged, her movements so fluid they seemed almost boneless. Lieutenant Sarah Chen, infiltration specialist, her nervous system rewired for enhanced reflexes and sensory perception. Next came a mountain of a man whose skin had an odd metallic sheen. Sergeant Dmitry Volkov, assault specialist, his skeleton and skin reinforced with experimental alloys that made him nearly impervious to conventional weapons. From the 4th pod stepped a lean man with unnaturally pale skin. Dr. Alex Novak, former head of xenobiology at Earth Command, enhanced with neural interfaces that allowed him to process information at superhuman speeds, and the only member of the team who hadn't been a soldier before enhancement. The final pod released a woman with copper-red hair and eyes that seemed to catch and reflect light like a predator's. Major Isabella Cruz, tactical command, enhanced with combat algorithms integrated directly into her cerebral cortex. 5 individuals, each a different kind of monster, each deemed too dangerous to live in normal society. "Show us what we're facing," Vega said. Elena projected Takahashi's transmission. The Aegis team watched without comment, their enhanced minds analyzing every frame. When it ended, there was silence. "Assessment?" Elena asked. "They're fast, strong, coordinated," Cruz stated analytically, "but they can be killed." "How can you be sure?" Elena challenged. Cruz's lips curved in what might have been a smile. "Because we've killed things that were supposed to be unkillable before." The UES Harbinger cut through space toward New Horizon colony, its engines pushing well beyond safety parameters. The Aegis team prepared in the ship's armory, their movements economical and precise. Unlike standard soldiers with their bulky exo-armor, the enhanced warriors needed minimal protection. Vega checked a custom pistol designed to handle ammunition that would shatter the bones of a normal human firing it. Chen tested the edge of vibroblades that could slice through reinforced hull metal. Volkov hefted a rotary cannon typically mounted on assault vehicles. Captain Maya Ortiz, commander of the Harbinger, watched them with undisguised unease. "We'll reach New Horizon in 6 hours," she informed Elena. "Preliminary scans show alien presence still active in the colony." "Any survivors?" Elena asked. "Uncertain. We're detecting scattered life signs that might be human, but there's interference with our sensors." Elena nodded. We'll know soon enough. She turned to the Aegis team. Your primary objective is assessment and containment. We need to understand what we're dealing with. And if containment fails? Vega asked, his enhanced eyes studying her. Then you do what you were made for, Elena replied coldly. You terminate the threat, by any means necessary. The Aegis warriors showed no reaction, but Elena sensed something shift in the air between them, a predatory anticipation. For 15 years, they had been forced to sleep, their capabilities deemed too dangerous for a peaceful galaxy. Now, they were being unleashed. God help anyone in their path, alien or human. As the Harbinger approached the colony, Elena received a transmission from Earth Command. 2 more colonies had gone silent. Whatever these aliens were, they were spreading fast. She looked at the 5 enhanced warriors preparing for battle and wondered if she had just unleashed humanity's salvation, or merely a different kind of monster. Either way, there was no turning back now. Unleashed. New Horizon Colony appeared as a dim speck against the blackness of space, its orbital defense platforms dark and lifeless. From the Harbinger's bridge, Elena watched as they entered scanning range, dreading what they would find. Life signs, she asked. Lieutenant Park at the sensor station frowned, reading approximately 300 human signatures scattered throughout the central hub. Original colony population was 20,000. Elena's jaw tightened. And the hostiles. At least 2,000 alien signatures, concentrated in what appears to be the colony's main administrative complex. Vega, who had been silently observing, spoke. They're harvesting. All eyes turned to him. The pattern, he explained, gesturing at the holographic display. They're not just killing randomly. They're systematically working through the colony, sector by sector. Dr. Novak stepped forward, his pale eyes rapidly scanning the data. He's right. The thermal patterns suggest they're gathering humans in central locations before processing them. His voice remained clinical despite the horror he described. Elena turned to Captain Ortiz. Can we get a shuttle down undetected? Ortiz nodded. We have a stealth insertion vehicle. It can evade their sensors if we approach from the planet's dark side. Then we move now, Elena decided. Captain Vega, select your team. Vega looked at his fellow Aegis warriors. Chen, Volkov with me for ground assault. Cruz, coordinate tactical from the shuttle. Novak, focus on intel gathering. No discussion, no argument. Despite 15 years in stasis, they fell into operational patterns with machine-like efficiency. As they prepared to board the shuttle, Elena pulled Vega aside. Remember, we need information. If possible, capture one for study. His enhanced green eyes regarded her coolly. These things slaughtered 20,000 civilians. You sure you want one alive? I'm sure I want to know how to kill all of them, Elena countered. That requires study. Vega gave a single nod, then joined his team. The shuttle descended through New Horizons' atmosphere, its stealth systems masking their approach. Inside, the Aegis warriors prepared in silence. Chen checked her infiltration gear while Volkov loaded rounds into his massive weapon. Cruz sat with eyes closed, neural implants linking her to the shuttle's sensor array, building a tactical map of the colony. I have the layout, she announced, opening her eyes. Main administrative complex is heavily occupied. Power plant has minimal hostile presence. Good insertion point. Agreed, Vega said. We enter through the power plant, establish a forward base, then push toward the admin complex. Elena watched them work, struck by their clinical detachment. There was no discussion of the colonists they might save, no emotional response to the massacre. Just cold, tactical planning. The shuttle landed silently in the colony's power plant loading bay. The facility was dark, running on emergency power only. As the ramp lowered, Chen moved first, a shadow among shadows, her enhanced senses probing for threats. Clear, she whispered after 30 seconds. Vega and Volkov followed, weapons ready. Elena and Novak came last, with crews remaining at the shuttle to coordinate. Picking up human life signs 3 levels down, crews reported through their comlink. Approximately 40 survivors barricaded in the reactor maintenance area. Vega signaled Chen forward. Scout the path. She moved with inhuman grace, almost flowing rather than walking. Within minutes she returned, expression grim. 6 hostiles patrolling the corridors. They appear to be searching methodically. Description: Elena asked. Bipedal, roughly 2 meters tall. Exoskeletal armor covering vital areas. 4 arms, 2 primary, 2 secondary. They move. Wrong. Chen's enhanced face showed the first trace of emotion Elena had seen. Unease. Wrong how? Novak pressed. Too fast. Too coordinated. Like they're sharing information instantaneously. Elena nodded. We need to reach those survivors. They might have critical information. Vega considered for a moment. Chen, take point. Non-lethal approach. I want one intact. Volkov and I will handle the rest. They moved through the darkened corridors with practiced precision. Elena followed at a distance, weapon ready but knowing she was witnessing something beyond normal human capability. The Aegis warriors didn't just move. They flowed like water, each step precisely calculated, each position offering optimal firing solutions. They encountered the first alien at a junction. Before Elena could properly register its appearance, Chen was already moving, a blur of motion. She struck with a specialized stun baton, targeting what appeared to be neural clusters at the creature's neck junction. The alien dropped without a sound. 1 secured, Chen reported calmly. 5 remaining. The team continued forward. At the next corridor, they found 3 aliens systematically searching rooms. Vega signaled, and they attacked simultaneously. Volkov's massive frame moved with surprising silence until the last moment, when he engaged his target with brutal efficiency. Vega eliminated his with a precise shot to what they hoped was a vital area. The final alien managed a screech, a high-pitched sound that reverberated painfully, before Chen silenced it. We've been compromised, Kruz warned through comms, detecting movement throughout the facility. They know we're here. Vega didn't hesitate. Accelerate timeline. Get to the survivors now. They doubled their pace, encountering scattered resistance that fell quickly to their enhanced capabilities. When they reached the sealed maintenance door, Elena stepped forward. This is Commander Elena Reyes, United Earth Defense Force. We're here to evacuate survivors. After a tense silence, the door opened to reveal haggard faces. A woman in a blood-stained lab coat stepped forward. Dr. Leila Sharma, Colony Research Lead. She introduced herself. You're too late for most of us. What are they? Elena asked directly. Sharma's eyes darkened. We call them harvesters. They arrived without warning in a massive ship. Their first strike took out our communications and defense systems. She gestured to the survivors. We've been hiding, studying them when possible. They're collecting us, not just killing. For what purpose? Novak asked, his enhanced mind already processing possibilities. They're parasitoid, Sharma explained, leading them to a makeshift lab she'd established. They inject their larvae into living hosts, preferably sentient ones. The hosts remain conscious during the entire gestation process. Elena felt cold revulsion sweep through her. How long? 3 days from injection to emergence, Sharma said flatly. We've been monitoring their communications as best we can. This isn't a random attack. It's systematic colonization. They plan to spread throughout human space. Vega, who had been securing the perimeter, rejoined them. We have the intact specimen. Novak. Analysis. Dr. Novak approached the restrained alien, scanning it with specialized equipment built into his enhancements. Fascinating structure. The exoskeleton contains metallic compounds I've never encountered. Neural system appears distributed rather than centralized. Weaknesses. Vega pressed. Working on it. Novak continued his examination, The neck junction Chen targeted appears to be a critical neural cluster. Disrupt that, and you temporarily incapacitate them. But there are redundant systems. They recover quickly. A sudden alarm from crews interrupted them. Multiple contacts converging on our position. At least 50 hostiles. Vega didn't hesitate. Evacuation protocol. Get the survivors to the shuttle. Wait, Sharma protested. My research. We've been developing a compound that might disrupt their neural communications. It could give us an edge. Elena made a quick decision. Grab what you need. You have 2 minutes. As Sharma hastily collected samples and data storage devices, Elena turned to Vega. We need to extract that alien for further study. He nodded. Volkov, secure the specimen. The massive soldier hoisted the creature effortlessly. They're at the outer doors, Kruz warned. 30 seconds to breach. Vega activated his tactical comm. All Aegis personnel, combat protocol Omega. No restrictions. Elena saw something change in the enhanced warriors. A subtle shift in posture, a predatory focus entering their eyes. They had been holding back before, she realized. Now, the leech was coming off. Get the civilians to the shuttle, Vega ordered Elena. We'll cover your retreat. And you? She asked. His enhanced green eyes glittered. We'll introduce ourselves properly to our new friends. As Elena led Dr. Sharma and the survivors toward the extraction point, the sounds of combat erupted behind them. Terrible screeches from the aliens mixed with the thunder of Volkov's cannon. She glanced back once to see Chen moving so quickly she was barely visible, her blades flashing as she dismembered 3 aliens simultaneously. Vega stood at the center of a group of harvesters, his movements precise and lethal, each shot finding vulnerable points with impossible accuracy. They weren't soldiers, Elena realized. They were weapons in human form. Aboard the shuttle, crews coordinated their movements, her neural implants processing tactical data faster than any normal human could comprehend. They're buying us time, she informed Elena. But there are too many. They'll be overrun soon. How long until they reach the shuttle? Elena asked. 4 minutes at current pace. Elena activated her comm. Vega, fall back to extraction point. That's in order. His response came between gunshots. Negative, Commander. Get the survivors and the specimen off planet. We'll keep them occupied. I am not leaving you behind, Elena insisted. You have the intel you need, Vega replied calmly. The mission parameters are clear. Sacrifice acceptable for strategic advantage. Elena felt cold fury rise within her. New parameters, Captain. I need all Aegis assets intact for the next phase. Fall back now. There was a pause, and she could almost feel him reassessing. Acknowledged, he finally replied. Initiating tactical withdrawal. Kruz's eyes widened slightly. They're coming, and they're bringing the entire hive with them. The shuttle's external cameras showed the 3 Aegis warriors fighting a retreating action. Volkov's massive form shielding the others. Chen darting between enemies with lethal precision. Vega coordinating their movements with hand signals. Behind them surged a wave of harvesters, hundreds strong. They won't make it, Dr. Sharma whispered. They will, Elena said firmly, because they're not human anymore. There's something else entirely. As if to prove her point, Volkov suddenly charged backward into the alien mass, his reinforced body absorbing punishment that would have killed a normal human instantly. He created a momentary gap that Chen and Vega exploited, sprinting the final distance to the shuttle. Volkov followed, somehow extracting himself from the Nali, his metallic skin gleaming with alien ichor. Go, Vega shouted as they cleared the ramp. The shuttle lifted off as the first harvesters reached them, their claws scraping futilely against the hull. Within minutes, they had broken atmosphere and were heading back to the Harbinger. In the shuttle's hold, the Aegis warriors showed no celebration, no relief at their escape, only a cold assessment of their performance. They're vulnerable to concentrated fire at the neural junctions, Volkov reported, checking a wound on his arm that was already sealing itself. They communicate through subsonic frequencies, Chen added. I could hear them coordinating. Vega turned to Dr. Sharma. Your compound, how does it work? It disrupts the pheromones they use for hive communication, she explained. Without coordination, they become disorganized, easier to isolate and eliminate. Elena studied the Aegis team, covered in alien blood, utterly calm despite just facing hundreds of enemies. Then she looked at the terrified survivors, at the restrained alien specimen, and at Dr. Sharma's research data. They had what they needed, a weapon against the harvesters. But as the shuttle docked with the Harbinger, an emergency transmission came through from Earth Command. 3 more colonies had gone dark. The harvesters were spreading faster than anticipated, and humanity's deadliest warriors would need to be even deadlier to stop them. Turning point. Aboard the Harbinger, Elena watched through the observation window as Dr. Sharma and Novak worked on the captive harvester. The creature had been secured in a reinforced containment chamber, multiple restraints holding its 4 limbs immobile. Despite its predicament, it showed no signs of fear, only cold alien calculation in its compound eyes. We've analyzed its neural structure, Novak reported, his enhanced mind processing data at superhuman speed. Their hive communication is more complex than we initially thought. It's not just pheromones. They use subsonic frequencies to coordinate and quantum entanglement for instantaneous communication across vast distances. That's how they coordinated simultaneous attacks on multiple colonies, Elena realized. Dr. Sharma nodded. And why conventional military responses have failed. They always know exactly where our forces are deploying. A harvester suddenly emitted a series of clicks and hisses. What was that? Elena asked. It's trying to communicate, Novak said, studying readings from his sensors. I've been working on a translation algorithm based on the neural patterns we've observed. Can it understand us? I believe so, Novak confirmed. Their species appears to have advanced pattern recognition capabilities. It's likely been learning our language since first contact. Elena approached the containment field. Why are you attacking our colonies? The creature's mandibles clicked rapidly. Novak's translation came a moment later. Expansion, propagation, survival. By slaughtering our people. Vessels. Necessary. Evolution. A chill ran down Elena's spine. They don't see us as enemies or even prey, she said quietly. We're just incubators. Commander, Captain Ortiz's voice came over the comm. The Emergency Council is waiting for your report. Elena nodded. I'll be right there. To Novak and Sharma, she added, keep working. Find me something we can use against them. In the communication chamber, the holographic projections of the Emergency Council materialized. Admiral Takeda looked even more haggard than before. Commander Reyes, the situation has deteriorated. 7 colonies have been overrun. The harvesters have established a foothold in the Arcturus system, less than 2 jumps from Earth. Our conventional forces? Elena asked, already knowing the answer. Devastated, General Volkov replied grimly. The 5th Fleet engaged the harvester ships at Proxima Colony. We lost 37 vessels. They lost 3. And the Aegis Protocol? Asked Secretary Wei. Working, Elena reported. The enhanced team successfully extracted intel and a live specimen from New Horizon. Dr. Sharma, the colony's research lead, has been developing a compound that disrupts their hive communication. How soon can it be weaponized? Takeda demanded. That's the problem, Elena admitted. Current estimates suggest 2 weeks to synthesize enough for a large-scale deployment. We don't have 2 weeks, Wei said flatly. At their current rate of advance, the harvesters will reach Earth in 5 days. Silence fell over the communication chamber. What about the Aegis team? Takeda finally asked. They performed beyond expectations, Elena answered carefully. But they're 5 individuals against thousands of harvesters. What if we deployed all of them? We suggested. Elena frowned. All of them. Project Aegis didn't produce just 5 enhanced soldiers, Commander Takeda explained. Those 5 were merely the most stable. There are 23 more in deep containment. Elena felt cold realization wash over her. The berserkers. Takeda nodded grimly. The ones deemed too unstable for any deployment. The ones whose enhancements drove them beyond the edge of humanity. They're not weapons, Elena objected. They're broken people who can't control their capabilities. They're our last resort, Y countered. And we've reached that point. After a moment of heavy silence, Takeda spoke. Commander Rise, you are hereby authorized to implement Aegis Protocol. Total release. God help us all. When Elena informed the Aegis team of the Council's decision, their reactions were subtle but unmistakable. Vega's enhanced eyes narrowed slightly. Chen went completely still. Volkov's massive hands clenched into fists. The berserkers were contained for good reason, Vega said quietly. They can't distinguish between friend and foe. I know, Elena agreed. But the Council believes we're out of options. Cruz, who had been monitoring tactical feeds, looked up. They're right. At current rates of expansion, the harvesters will reach Earth before Dr. Sharma's compound can be mass-produced. Dr. Novak, who had been silent until now, suddenly straightened. Wait, I may have a solution. He turned to Elena. The harvester we captured, it's not just a drone. It's a subnode in their hive structure. Meaning? It maintains a direct quantum link to the main hive intelligence. If we could modify Dr. Sharma's compound to target that specific neural frequency, he trailed off, his enhanced mind racing ahead. We could disrupt their entire command structure. Sharma finished, understanding immediately. Not just locally, but system-wide. How quickly? Elena demanded. With Novik's enhancements and my research, perhaps 48 hours, Sharma estimated. We don't have 48 hours, Cruz interjected. The harvester fleet has changed course. They're heading directly for the Harbinger. They know we have one of their subnodes. Elena made her decision. Set course for the nearest jump point. We need to buy time. Commander, Vega said quietly. There's another option. All eyes turned to him. We take the fight to them, he continued. Their main vessel, the High Ship. If we can deliver the compound directly to their central node. A strike team. Elena asked, already seeing where he was heading. Vega nodded. The 5 of us. We infiltrate the High Ship, deploy the compound at the source, and extract. That's a suicide mission, Ortiz objected. No, Chen said with cold certainty. It's what we were made for. The plan came together quickly. While Sharma and Novak worked to modify the neural disruptor compound, Cruz analyzed the harvester ship movements, identifying their command vessel. Vega and Chen developed the infiltration strategy while Volkov prepared specialized weapons designed to target harvester weak points. Elena watched them work with a growing sense of awe and unease. They functioned less like individual soldiers and more like aspects of a single weapon system, each perfectly complementing the other's capabilities. Why are you doing this? She asked Vega during a brief lull in preparations. You could have refused. After 15 years in containment, you owe humanity nothing. His enhanced green eyes studied her. You think we're motivated by duty or revenge, aren't you? We're doing this because it's what we are, he said simply. We were created as weapons against impossible threats, finally being used for our purposes, satisfying. Before she could respond, the ship shuddered violently. Harvester vessels. Ortiz's voice came over the comm. 3 ships, closing fast. How did they find us so quickly? Elena demanded as they rushed to the bridge. The quantum link, Novak realized. It works both ways. They can track their subnode. On the bridge, tactical displays showed 3 harvester ships in pursuit, gaining rapidly. They'll overtake us before we reach the jump point, Ortiz reported grimly. Elena looked at the Aegis team. Is the compound ready? Barely, Novak replied. We've synthesized a small batch, Enough for the strike team's mission, but not fully tested. Then we go now, Vega decided, while we still have the initiative. Elena nodded. Captain Ortiz set an intercept course for the Harvester command ship. Commander, we're taking the fight to them, she explained. The Aegis team will infiltrate their high ship and deploy the neural disruptor at its source. As the Harbinger changed course, the mood on the bridge shifted from retreat to grim determination. The Aegis warriors prepared for deployment, each checking specialized equipment designed for the infiltration. The compound must be delivered directly to their central neural node, Sharma explained, handing Vega a sealed container. Based on our analysis of the captured subnode, we believe it's located in the central chamber of their high ship. How will we recognize it? Chen asked. It will be the largest concentration of neural activity, Novik explained. I've modified these sensors to detect it. He handed each team member a small device. Once you locate the central node, deploy the compound within 5 meters of it. The dispersal will handle the rest. Elena watched as the Aegis team made final preparations. Despite facing near-certain death, they displayed no fear, no hesitation, only focused determination. Commander, Vega said as they prepared to board the assault shuttle. If we don't return, you will, she interrupted. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. If we don't implement the total release, the berserkers may be unstable, but they'll give the harvesters something new to fear. The Harbinger approached the massive Harvester high ship, a nightmarish construction of organic and metallic components stretching nearly 2 kilometers from end to end. Surrounding it were dozens of smaller vessels, creating a formidable defensive screen. They've detected us, Ortiz announced. Harvester vessels moving to intercept. Launch countermeasures, Elena ordered. Give the assault shuttle a clear path to the high ship. The Harbinger's weapons blazed, creating momentary gaps.